The Wake County Public School System's Student Assignment Office would like to thank you for taking time to review this informative video outlining the assignment planning process for our school district. This video is intended to provide a general overview of the assignment planning process along with a review of the projected impacts of enrollment growth on schools throughout our district. It is our goal that by the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of the assignment planning process, along with Board Policy 4150, and that you will be more familiar with the projected enrollment growth, school crowding, and current facility plans across the district. We would like to remind our viewers that all of the information we are sharing in this video can also be found on our assignment planning website. This site will be updated regularly throughout this year's planning process as new or updated information is available, including a frequently asked questions section. Although we take a multi-year approach to our assignment planning, each year we start the annual planning process after the release of the annual enrollment forecast update. The information in this report projects enrollment for the next school year as well as for the next 10 years. Following the release of the forecast, we are able to more clearly understand the projected crowding at all of our schools for the next school year, along with how this crowding impacts our schools that are already capped. Following these updates, our board will receive information from our facilities design and construction team related to the Capital Improvement Plan, also known as the CIP. This informs us as to which new schools are on schedule to open for the 2025-26 school year, along with any major renovation projects that may be underway. Once this information is clarified, we will then prepare the annual enrollment plan. Let's take a brief look at the annual enrollment forecast. Even though the enrollment forecast provides a 10-year projection for enrollment in the district, it is updated annually to account for any changes in residential development patterns, home sales, birth rates, and other areas that impact the forecast. The graph you see here represents the historical trends of birth rates and kindergarten enrollment. The blue line along the top of the graph represents the total number of recorded births throughout the county 5 years prior. The yellow line represents the total number of kindergartners that enroll in the school district 5 years later. As you can see, there was a relatively predictable trend through 2019. And as you can imagine, the anomaly seen in 2020 was largely related to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we are seeing a rebound to a more predictable relationship between these two data points. The dotted lines toward the right of the graph represent projections for future years aligned with current trends. This is just one example of the many factors that are evaluated and reviewed each year as the enrollment forecast is updated. This graph represents the changes that we see each time the annual enrollment forecast is updated. The light blue or teal line represents the 10-year projection in 2021. The yellow line represents adjustments to that projection based on updates received in 2022. And the darker blue line reflects adjustments based on information included in the most recent 2023 forecast. Although there is not a significant amount of change in the near-term years, you can see that the most recent forecast shows a more aggressive growth rate in the out years. This information is helpful in determining if we have sufficient capacity in our existing schools to respond to this type of growth. Simply knowing how many students the district needs to be prepared to serve is helpful. However, knowing where within and throughout the district this growth is expected is particularly handy in developing annual enrollment plans. This type of information is also useful in evaluating whether existing schools in a particular area can support the projected enrollment growth, or if other options may be needed to accommodate these future students. This map depicts the projected change in total student population residing in various areas across the district. The blue arrows represent areas projected to see an increase in students over the next 10 years. The larger the arrow, the greater the projected change. The red or maroon arrows represent areas projected to see a decrease in students over the next 10 years. Again, the larger the arrow, the greater the projected change over time. What you should notice is that growth is not evenly distributed throughout the district, and that some areas of the district are projected to stabilize and have minimal changes in student numbers over the next 10 years. In addition to providing a 10-year outlook, the annual forecast also provides a one-year projection that we use to determine funding needs for the coming school year, as well as predict crowding for the next school year. In this case, these projections are for the 2024-25 school year. This map displays the projected crowding by base attendance area for our elementary schools for the 2024-25 school year. This map also provides a good overview of the crowding we are projecting for the next school year. The schools that are represented by the dark orange color are projected to be over 110% crowded. The lighter orange schools are projected to be between 100 and 110% crowded. The yellow areas represent schools projected to be between 90 and 100% crowded, and the areas in light gray, or the background color of the map, are projected to be less than 90% crowded. This map displays the same type of projected crowding for our middle schools across the district. To provide additional context, the district aims to have schools operating between 90 and 100 or 105% crowding. However, as you can see, that is not always possible, as enrollment growth often occurs in areas that do not already have schools. Finally, this map displays the projected crowding rates for high schools across the district. Note that several of our high schools continue to operate at or above 100% crowding. Reviewing all of the projected crowding impacts is only one of the factors used to inform the development of our annual enrollment plans. As you may be aware, some of our most crowded schools have been designated by the Board of Education as capped. Capped schools have a board-approved total maximum capacity. This means that when a family moves into the base attendance area for one of these schools, it is possible they will not be able to attend the capped school. Instead, they may be assigned to a designated overflow school. Although the student is provided transportation to the overflow school, this situation separates students living in the same neighborhood, as the newer residents are assigned to the overflow school. By definition, capping is a temporary measure used to address rapid growth in areas where there's not sufficient capacity at nearby schools, or no new schools are projected to open that might help manage the enrollment growth. Here, you see a listing of all the elementary schools that are currently designated as capped. The MTYR label by some of the school names indicates that these schools are already operating on a multi-track year-round calendar. Although the board recently was able to remove 3 elementary schools from the capped list, 17 elementary schools remain capped for the 2024-25 school year. This is a list of the middle and high schools in the district that are capped. You will notice that some of the schools on this list are labeled with feeder pattern cap. Feeder pattern caps are different from other school caps. For schools with a feeder pattern cap, students can be added to a wait list as early as kindergarten if there are already more kindergarten students in the cohort than can fit in the middle or high school for their address. For more information on capping and feeder pattern caps, please visit the district website. Once we have a good idea about the projected enrollment and crowding issues for the coming school year, we turn our attention to reviewing and understanding the impacts of any updates to the CIP. This chart shows the projected opening years for all approved new school projects in the 7-year CIP. Please note that although the major renovations projects during the same timeframe are not shown on this chart, they are accounted for during the annual enrollment planning process. At this time, I want to pause and acknowledge the asterisk at the top of the page and remind you that all major projects, both new schools and renovations, have the potential for completion date changes based on market volatility, scope changes, and changes in design or construction schedules. Essentially, we are constantly monitoring the progress of all our construction projects and will adjust recommendations for the annual enrollment plan when needed. At this time, we are planning for the opening of Bowling Road Elementary, Pleasant Plains Elementary, Rex Road Elementary, and Felton Grove High School in the 2025-26 school year. In addition, Baucom Elementary and Fuquay-Varina Middle are scheduled to move into their newly renovated campuses for the upcoming 2024-25 school year. Both of these schools will have a larger capacity as a result of their renovations and may be included in the assignment plan for 25-26 to help relieve crowding at other nearby schools. This map helps to give you a better idea of where the new schools are located throughout the district. Woods Creek Elementary, which is highlighted by the red circle, will open in the 2024-25 school year, and the board approved a plan for this school last fall. Here you can see the locations of the schools projected to open in 2025-26, highlighted by the blue circles. And here you see the locations of schools projected to open in 2026-27 and beyond, highlighted by the dark gray circles. Once the forecast, projected crowding, and CIP updates have been reviewed, we're ready to begin our public engagement activities to capture thoughts and ideas from families and community members to help inform the development of the next enrollment plan. For more information on ways you can plug into these important discussions, please visit our assignment planning website. Around this same time, we are also ready to have a clarifying discussion with the board to determine what all should be included in the next enrollment plan. In addition to developing attendance areas for new schools, we are often faced with needing to address crowding in some areas or work on other important assignment concerns for the district. As a reminder, the specific guidelines that staff must evaluate and consider when developing recommendations for the annual enrollment plan are in Board Policy 4150. This policy includes 4 pillars: student achievement, stability, proximity, and operational efficiency. Although no one pillar is considered more or less important than the others, staff is tasked with assessing each pillar when evaluating each assignment recommendation. Each of the pillars outlined in board policy have specific descriptions that provide additional guidance for staff. Here, you can see a brief summary of these descriptions. For more details on this policy, we have created a separate video. This video is posted to our assignment planning website for your convenience. Once the board has clarified the goals for the next enrollment plan, staff prepares an initial draft of the enrollment plan and presents this to the board for review and discussion. Families and community members are then encouraged to review and provide feedback on this initial draft. And a summary of the feedback collected is shared with the board, along with any recommended revisions. Next, the board hosts a public hearing to receive any final thoughts or feedback on the plan, and a final draft of the enrollment plan is prepared and presented to the board for review and approval. The typical timeline for these events begins in May, and the entire process is usually complete by November. The intent is to have final decisions made no less than 6 months prior to the start of the next school year, allowing families and district staff as much time as possible to prepare for any approved changes included in the enrollment plan. We hope you found this video helpful in better understanding the assignment planning process for the Wake County Public School System, and want to remind you that all of the information shared in this video can be found on our assignment planning website. This site is updated regularly and also includes a frequently asked questions section. We encourage you to visit this website and discover how you can contribute to this important process. Thank you.